Scrappy Mania, and today I want to show you how to create these homemade little watercolor flowers that I created here. And these are perfect for embellishments. What you're going to need in order to create these flowers, they're very, very simple to do, is you're going to need some watercolor paper and some watercolor paint, which I have here, some of my daughter's old watercolor paint. And then, and that's pretty much it. And then you need a pen to do the outline. So I'm going to be using this gel pen, and that's what I'm going to use to outline my flowers. So the first thing I usually do is, oh, and by the way, in the center, what I'm using is some glitter. So I'm going to be using some glitter paint, and this is called Bead in the Bottle by Tulip. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and create a flower. So let me go ahead and zoom in. So you're going to make a C. So you make a little C, and actually you shouldn't make it so dark, but I'm going to do it, I'm doing it dark so that way you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to move the paper. I move my stuff around, and then I'm going to create another C, move the paper, create another C, move the paper, another C, and then move the paper and create another C. So that's how. Let's do one. Let me do another one. So, and you're going to do a C. You lightly create a C. Then another C. Then create another C. And just going to create, and that's how you create your petals. Okay, so once you have your, and see they're not perfect, but that's okay. You're gonna take your watercolor paint, and I'm gonna start with putting some water on my flower, so that way the watercolor could float. So I'm just it's called pre-wash, I believe that's what they call it. Just putting a little bit of water there. Then I'm going to take some of my watercolor, and I'm going to start with the yellow. You can see here. I'm going to start with the yellow. And let me zoom out so that way you can see a little more what I'm doing. I'm going to start with the yellow, and then I'm just going to put some of that yellow in the center. And then I'm going to take whatever color I want to use. I'm going to use some of this red color here. And I use some of this red color there. And then I'm just going to put it on the edges and just let it float. And if you put a little too much, you can remove it by simply drying up your brush, and then it just kind of soaks it up. Okay, like that. Now we're going to do the next one. Do the same thing. You can take some yellow. I'm going to clean my brush first. I'm going to take some yellow. And I forgot to put some water on the flower before I paint it, but it'll still work. Okay, so I got my yellow. Now I'm going to take some of my, just a little bit of the red, and just let it kind of flow in, as you can see there. Then you're gonna let that dry, and after you dry, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some glitter glue, not glitter glue, some glitter paint. You're gonna take some glitter paint or even glitter glue, whatever you have, and you can go ahead and dot the center like you can see there. Okay. So let me go ahead, and then once it dries, you put your glitter, you cut it out, and that's how you create all these unique little flowers. So I'm going to show you a layout and where I use these flowers to create my layout. Okay, for this layout I'm going to use for my flowers, I'm using this bright color, Everyday Brights. And it's because this already has like a watercolor feel, and it has a lot of like those same kind of hand-drawn flowers. So I'm using this paper, and I created actually like 6 layouts using these papers, and they're very nice. I really like, this is kind of different for me. I really like the bright colors and like the watercolor and hand-drawn flower kind of look that this paper has. So let me go ahead and bring my paper, put this aside. So I'm going to bring, this is my first layout. As you can see, these are my watercolor flowers that I created. This is one of my badges that I created, and this is just a regular chipboard, and I did an ombre effect on that chipboard, put some glitter paint, and I'm gonna go ahead and adhere this together. This is one of my hello little embellishment that I created with a stamp. I use a hello stamp, and I cut 5 layers of paper, I glued them together, and then I put some of this glass finish on it to create this little embellishment. This is a Martha Stewart punch. This is another embellishment that I create with 5 layers of paper. I'm also going to use this that says romance. This is going to be my journaling. And then what I want to show you is I created a weaving technique, and I'll upload a video on how I created this paper, but this is basically just took strips of paper and I weaved it together. And then I just make sure that I glue the edges. After I weaved it together, I make sure I glue the edges. And that's going to go here. And then this is just going to go on the sides to give it kind of a little edging on it. So let me go ahead and adhere my edges. So I'm going to fast forward the video, and I hope you enjoy it. So here I'm just adhering the strips on the side of my layout, and this is a good way to conserve paper. You can just create your strips of edging and just put it on the side of the paper, and then you just miter the corners after you glue it down, so you don't need a lot of paper to create this edging. So I'm almost done here, and then once you glue all your edge down or your edging down and around the corners, then what I do is I'm going to place this on another base page. So here I'm inking the edges. And with this weaving technique, you have to, once you do the weave, you need to place it on another piece of cardstock in order to give it some strength and that the weaving will not unravel. So here I'm placing my flower. So that big flower I created by just creating petals and making my own leaf and stem. And then I'm just using dimensional adhesive to bring it off the page. So I glue a little, my photo mat with an area so I can journal later on. And then here I'm putting my flare badge down with more of those watercolor flowers. And click on the links that I'm going to provide within this video of where I show you how to create those flare badges and also that speech bubble that says hello. So here I'm almost done with this layout, and as you can see, I always try to put my embellishments in clusters and also in a triangle, so that way your eyesight will naturally flow from one area from the top. So your eyesight's going to flow from the top, then to the pictures, and then to the lower cluster, as you can see there. So there's my flowers, and see, they look very nice layered together. They're not perfect, but once you put them on a layout, they look very nice. There's my other little clusters, and then a little cluster of 3 where it says hello. I put 2 flowers, and then the hello makes 3. So that's my completed page, my first page. Now I'm going to go to my second page, and here I'm just using my scissors to cut a little piece off the edge, so that way it's a little smaller than my 12 by 12 base cardstock. And I'm inking the edges of all my embellishments and all my layers. So I'm going to place the first layer down, and then making sure that I put some hot glue on the edges, so that way it will keep it down in my page. And here I'm just using that clock from another long time embellishment, and actually that clock figurine was a piece of a cutout from a page on the heirloom paper from Die Cut with a View. And then that butterfly is actually from a stamp, Stupendous. It's Stupendous, that's the name of it. It's a large stamp. So I stamped the butterfly, and I watercolored it so that way it matches the paper. So here again, I'm creating another layer of cluster on the top left-hand side, and then another cluster on following the opposite angle on the lower right-hand side where my photo mat is. So there, and I'm done with that page. Okay, and this is my next page. So I hope you liked the tutorial, and thank you for watching. Bye.